Know it. Utility infielder. All right, Jalen, what's my domain and range here?
Domain is 0, 1, 2, ...
So we can keep going on forever. So how would I want to list that? Jaylee?
Would you do 0 is less than or equal to x less than or equal to?
Well, I'd turn it around and I would not make it a compound inequality. I could say for my domain, I would list it as x is greater than or equal to 0. Okay, so it's just going to be everything going up. All right, is that what you guys had? No? What'd you have?
So 0, 1, 2, 3, ...
All right, well, that's the same kind of thing. It's just in a different notation. All right. And then my range, what would my range be? We could list it as ... Okay, it's called an ellipses. It means it just continues on forever. All right, my range would be what? Where does it start? Where? At 0? Okay, and the range we would list as then 0, 8, 16, 24, ... And really, well, we wouldn't want to put y because we're using f of x. So that would be your range. All right, questions? All right. Good job. Let's look at 5.2. All right, we got some guided notes here. I'm just going to pass them out already?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right.
All right.
Those student never came, right?
I have see Caitlin or Grant.
All right.
So I think we're good.
Okay.
All right. So you got the guided notes. We're recording. So we're good there. All right. X and Y intercept. I got there. Now, all it means, like you got a graph. This is your x-axis. Does that red line hit the x-axis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's our x-intercept. Does it hit the y-axis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's our y-intercept right there. That's all x and y-intercepts are. And to find them, we're going to go over procedure for that. Now, you got this case here, okay, where they kind of walk you through. What do I do with mine? Just so I can see it. Okay. So now right there at the top left, it says the blank. Put the y-intercept in that spot. The y-intercept is the y-coordinate of the point where the graph intersects the y-axis. The x-coordinate of this point is always 0. So in that second blank, put the 0. Because in order to hit the y-axis, the x-coordinate has to be 0. In the second equation sentence, the x-intercept would go in that spot. And then in this second blank, it's the y-coordinate of this point is always 0. A lot of times in scenarios, the x and y coordinates mean something. So like right here in that little scenario to the right, for that graph, which represents the a diver, the x-intercept 4, and then the time to reach the surface. The x-intercept is 4. It represents the time that the diver reaches the surface or when the depth equals 0. And the y-intercept is negative under 120. It represents the diver's elevation at the start of the ascent when time equals 0. So a lot of times they represent something. All right, so right here, this isn't on your guided notes. Does it have an x and y intercept? Yeah. Okay. And we just need to be able to identify it. So right here, this is your first one. The x-intercept, always write it as an ordered pair. So if it's already graphed, life's a little bit easier. The y-intercept is 0, 1. Write it as an ordered pair. Now, if you don't have the graph, okay, so this isn't on there, but just pay attention. What if you just have that right there? What's the x-intercept of that equation? Zach?
-3.
No. But it's hard to tell, right? You got no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't. Hannah?
Is it 0?
Is it 0? It's not 0. Okay, it's not 0.
2.
2. Now we're just throwing numbers out. See if it's stick.
Circle. 1, 5, 6.
No, but now let's go backwards. For the x-intercept, which is right here, it is -2, 0. The y-coordinate is always what for the x-intercept? The y-coordinate is always 0. Colin, you're going to say 0? All right, sorry, I beat you to it. The y-coordinate is always 0. So basically, to find the x-intercept, replace y with 0 and solve for x. So what does the x-intercept end up equaling here?
What's in the This is no boring.
They were really
Wait, I got it over here for you too.
You must not be
-10. Close. So, all right. So on your notes, where it says to find the x-intercept, see where it says that? Fill that in with replace y with 0 and solve for x. Okay? You replace y with 0 because we know the y-coordinate has to be 0. And then we solve for x.
Which one?
Where it says to find the x-intercept. Okay, so to find the x-intercept, replace y with 0 and solve for x.
And when we put that y in there, or sorry, the 0 in for y, all we're doing is wiping out that part of our equation.
Well, think about the y-intercept then. It's going to be exactly the same concept, except what are we going to replace with 0? You're going to replace x with 0. So it's kind of the opposite. For the x-intercept, you replace y. For the y-intercept, you replace x with 0. What'd you say, Joe?
I said 5.
5? Well, you're in the ballpark. And so then you solve it. So we can do that by, algebraically. If you got the graph, life's really easy. Okay, if you got this in front of you, just say, -2, 0, 0, 1. But if I don't have the graph, it gets a little bit harder. All right, I don't know why all these are filled out. All right, so let me see something here.
And when we're able to find the intercepts pretty easily, it makes it much easier to graph. Because to graph a straight line, so a linear function, all we need is 2 points.
All right, you got x-intercept, right? That's the first thing you see, correct? All right, here's what you're going to do. Say let y equal 0. Okay, so say let y equal 0. And underneath that, write down your equation and replace the y with 0. Now, like Mr. Schler said, it basically just wipes it out. 2 times 0 is 0. It'll wipe out, and you're just left with 5x equals 10. Divide by 5, and we get x equals 2. Now, the only thing you got to watch is I want this as an ordered pair. I want this as an ordered pair. So it's 2, 0, because we already let y be 0. Now for the y-intercept, let x equal 0. And you got 5x. So take the x out and make it 5 times 0 minus 2y equals 10. That wipes out that x piece, even the 5. So it's just -2y equals 10. And when we divide by -2, I get y equals -5. So my y-intercept is 0, -5. Now, you got that graph right to the right. Put those 2 points on there. Put the point 2, 0 down. Put the point 0, -5 down. Okay, and then connect. And then you need to make sure you put arrowheads on your line because it is going to keep going. That would be all of the answers to that equation right there. 5, 0, -5, and 2, 0, just two of the answers. We could do it ordered pairs and they would come up as the ordered pairs on the line. Okay, so that's how you find x and y intercepts. Let the opposite variable be 0. Okay. Now, what just it says like down the bottom, when you're graphing a linear function, Mr. Sorry says that you need 2 ordered pairs. Really, that's it. We find it's easiest to find the x and y intercepts. If you want to, you can use a third point to check your line because if you made a mistake, that'll kind of allow you to figure that out. All right, I got to fix this. All right, go ahead. Let's see here. Let me pause for a second. Find the x-intercept. Let y equal 0. All right. What'd you find first, Christian?
X equals 7.
So you got x equals 7.
Yeah,
So you got the x.
What?
So the x-intercept, let y equal 0. And so you get 3x minus 7 times 0 equals 21. All right, 7 times 0 wipes it out. Like you said, 3x equals 21. Divide by 3, divide by 3, x equals 7. And that's the 0.70. So make sure, because sometimes you flip it and put 0, 7 and everything's going to be wrong. So 7, 0. And now for the y-intercept, let x equals 0. And so I get 3x, or 3 times 0, minus 7y equals 21. Now that wipes it out, you get negative 7y equals 21, divide by negative 7, y equals negative 3, 0, negative 3. All right, plot those 2 points. Okay, and make sure you plot them in the right spot. 7 zeros over here on the right side, 0, negative 3 is below the line. Now draw your nice straight line through them. And make sure you got some arrowheads on there. I'll just put those there. Okay? So that's all we're doing. X and Y intercepts allows us to graph that line. All right, the third one. Okay, copy that down. All right, is slightly different. How is the equation slightly different? Okay, Connor?
Because you have to get x to the other side.
Okay, you don't have to, you can. Okay, you don't have to, but you can. So I'm going to solve it, leaving it as it is, just to show you what happens. Okay, but you did make a good point, because all the others had the x and the y on the same side, which is what we call standard form. You can do that, but I'm not necessarily going to in this case. So for the x-intercept, you just got to be careful here. We still let y equal 0. Well, what does that look like? I let y equal 0. What should I write down there? That's going to be 0 equals negative x plus 4. Now you're not done. You're not done, because what do we need to get by itself? Okay, we still need to get the No, there's no more y. The x, how do I do that? You can subtract 4. There's two ways you can do it. Subtract 4 and they'll both work. And then anybody see something else we can do?
Add x.
You can add x. Both will work. I'm going to actually add x in this case because then I don't have to divide by 1. Okay, or negative 1. So I'm going to add x. And then here's what you get. You get x equals 4, which would be 4, 0. Now with what Hanan said, we had 0 equals negative x plus 4. If you subtract 4, you get negative 4 equals negative x, but you got to make sure you divide by negative 1, which gives us back the positive 4. So either way we do, we get a positive 4. All right, so now we're done with the x-intercept. For the y-intercept, let x equal 0. And so it's going to be y equals negative 0 plus 4. Well, negative 0 is 0. And what does that just become? Y equals what? 4. So there's really not a lot going on there. Now they both have the same number. They both have 4. But this is 4, 0. And what's your y-intercept? It's going to be 0, 4. So that's going to be 0, 4. And when you graph them, okay, 0, 4 would be up above on the y-axis, and then 4, 0 will be to the right. Go ahead and draw a line through there. Make sure you go past those dots. Don't just stop at the dots. Go past the dots, and then draw arrowheads on those. Okay, so those will be all the answers to that line. All right, see what you get for this one. See what you get for this one.
Okay. Okay, so divide by negative 1. No need to do that, just need to make that 0. That's okay. And then, yeah, right here, no. Okay, we're finding, this is, we're finding. You got like y equals 0, so just put a 0 in that spot. Okay, and make it negative x plus that. Equals negative 6. Okay, that wipes that out. So what's left? Equals, okay, so write that down.
Should be
And
negative.
divide by negative 1, because you can't have it, you gotta get negative x by itself.
You don't add x.
So then negative x equals plus 0. There you go.
This would be 0.
Yeah, so that's
0. So just negative x equals 6. Okay.
All right, Morgan, what did you get for your intercepts? Do you have them? What did you get?
6, 0.
Okay, and what else?
0, -2.
0, -2. Okay, those are correct. You got those, you're correct. Now, the biggest one is with the first one. is I see a lot of people get -6. So you let y equal 0. So when you do that, you get -x plus 3 times 0 equals -6. Well, when we wipe that out, what's left? -x equals -6. Okay, you can't leave that. You gotta divide by -1. That's where we get the 6, which becomes 6, 0. Okay, so basically that's gone when you plug in y equals 0. Well, for the y-intercept, you let x equal 0. Well, basically it's gonna take that whole thing away. It's gonna be gone when we're done. Okay, so it's gonna be -0 plus 3y equals -6. 3y equals -6. And then when I divide by 3, I get -2. All right, Joe, did you graph it? Not yet? All right, so graph 6, 0, which would be over here on the right. 0, -2. Okay, would be here. And we're going to connect. Thanks, Rob. All right, so that's finding your x and y intercepts. Now, take a look at this last one, and we're going to put it all together. Okay. All right, the school sells pens for $2. Those are really nice pens for $2. And notebooks for $3. The equation 2x plus 3y describes the number of pens x and notebooks y that you can buy for $60. Graph the function and find its intercepts. Well, basically, here's what you're going to do is just start with 2x plus 3y equals 60. And let's find the intercepts. Okay? So for the x-intercept, let y equal 0. Yep, you see where we're at, Brett? Okay. So you get 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 60. It wipes out that 3 times 0. And so we get 2x equals 60. Divide by 2. I get x equals 30 or 30 comma 0. Okay.
Well, that's too many.
Too many.
The last problem, x equal 24. What's going on?
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, find the y-intercept. Let x equal 0. And so it's 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 60. Wait, 3y equals 60. Y equals 20, which gives me 0, 20. All right. Now at the bottom there. Oh, did you get that?
Yeah.
Okay. What's our x-intercept? Joe? What's that?
I didn't get the y.
Sorry. Okay, so now think about this situation, and this is where we need to be able to kind of write what it means. The x-intercept is 30, 0. X stands for number of pens, and Y is notebooks from up above. X is number of pens, and Y is notebooks. So what does this mean? At 30, 0, it means a student can purchase blank pens. Well, what should go in there? 30 if blank notebooks are purchased. 0. So fill that in. So you purchase 30 pens if 0 notebooks are purchased. Your y-intercept is 0.20. That means a student can purchase 20 notebooks if 0 pens are purchased. Okay? Now, it says to graph it, we got 0, 20, and 30, 0. You're going to have to stretch this out. So I'm going to make this go by 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. So you got to get to 30. And I got to get to 20. And if I go by, I'm going to go by 5s again every 2 lines. And I can get to 20. And make sure you put your dot here and your dot there. And you want to connect. You want to connect. Now on that line, we'll give you all the different combinations of pens and notebooks you could purchase for $60. Okay, you're just not going to be 20 and 0 and 30 and 0. Okay, you could get, depending upon where the points fall. Okay, so if you get 10 notebooks, how many pens could you get and so forth. All right, so that's that case there. You got to be able to identify what the X and Y intercept means. Okay, so page 306. All right, 13 through 18 all. And then 24, 26, and 28. Or also known as 24 through 28. And only graph those. The other ones you just need to find the X and Y intercept.